Australia is quickly becoming the land of the dual cab ute, if it isn't already. But there's at least one other country that froths on this type of vehicle as much as we do, and that is, of course, the land of the free and the mobility scooter, America. Some of these vehicles are starting to make their way to Australia now, like the Chevrolet Silverado 1500 LTZ. Today, we're going to jump inside this car, go for a drive, jump in the tray, and just have a general look around. So if you enjoy this video, make sure you hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. So it's actually Holden Special Vehicles who used to do the hot Commodores back in the day. They import the Silverado, convert it to right-hand drive, and presently they're offering a two-tier model lineup. There's a 106,990 LT Trail Boss, and then the one behind us, the LTZ, for 114,990. Both come with a 6.2 litre naturally aspirated V8. Later this year, we're getting the 144,990 2500 heavy duty. That's basically a tugboat on land with a 6.6 litre turbo diesel V8 with 1,234 Newton meters. So if you need to tow an apartment block, that's the one to get. But for now, the LTZ is probably all the towing car you need. So I'm feeling like a jockey ready to do the Melbourne Cup, standing next to this absolute behemoth of a vehicle. But for the majority of people, this is what they'll be most interested in, and that's the engine. So in America, they get a choice of 6 engines, a mix between V6s, V8s, and even an inline 6. But if you had to pick one of them, you'd probably pick this one. This is the only one we get here in Australia. It's the L87 LS 6.2 litre V8, very familiar to anybody who's ever owned a V8 Commodore. It's got 313 kilowatts, 624 Newton meters. It's a pushrod V8, so a little bit old school, but GM would argue you don't need any of that fancy dual cam stuff here. And it is modern enough. It's direct injected, it has cylinder deactivation, so it'll switch to 4 cylinders. It basically becomes a V4 on light throttle loads. And yeah, I mean, if 313 kilowatts, 624 Newton meters is not enough for you, you can bolt a dirty big supercharger to the top of it. I know Walkinshaw here, or we've heard that Walkinshaw is developing its own supercharger kit for this engine, and that'll be pushing upwards of 500 kilowatts. And if that's not enough for you, well, you'll never be satisfied, kind of thing. But yeah, plenty of engine for now. So the first thing you notice about the Silverado, looking at the exterior, is just how big this thing is. It's absolutely enormous. It's very roughly 2 meters wide. It's 1,915 millimeters tall. I only know that because I've had to drive into quite a few underground car parks in this thing, and they've been terrifying. It's nearly 6 meters long with a nearly 4 meter wheelbase. Compared to a dual cab Ford Ranger, it's about 100 mil higher, 100 mil wider, but it's nearly half a meter longer. And this is just how big they do their dual cab utes in America. They don't do them small, they like them huge. So in Australia, our Silverados get the Z71 pack as standard. It's an optional off-road pack in America, and that gets you the Trick Rancho monotube off-road dampers, all-terrain tyres, underbody bash plates at the front. It gets you the locking rear differential, 2-speed transfer case, hill descent control, all sorts of stuff to go off-road basically. And just looking at the car, obviously there's a lot of chrome going on in good old Uncle Sam apple pie fashion. We get these kind of chrome side skirts, chrome 20-inch wheels. It's just basically a huge car. In Australia we get 9 colours, and this colour, the official name for it, is very creatively called black. Now here we are at the business end of the Silverado. We've got the big fat Chevrolet badging there. Some owners might want to replace that with Holden, maybe, because the reverse is true in Australia. But we've got the functional tailpipes. They are actually connected to that big V8 and they sound great at idle. We've got the 50mm tow ball on this car with the 3.5 tonne maximum brake towing capacity. Put the 70mm ball on, that goes up to 4.5 tonnes. We have the anti-theft device here for the spare wheel. Put your key in there, take that out, wind the spare wheel down. We've got some steps to get in and out of the tray, really handy. But probably my favourite thing about the back of this car is the electric folding and closing rear tailgate. I find myself using the tray a lot more just because of this, and it is a huge tray by Australian dual cab ute standards. It's got the spray-on liner, 12 standard tie-down points, it's got lights, no 12-volt outlet. HSV does offer hard and soft tonneau cover options. The only criticism we'd have is for the size of the tray, the payload isn't amazing, only 712 kilos. welcome to the interior of the Silverado. It is absolutely enormous in here. It's like being in a concert hall or something like that. You can even feel it when you sit in the seats. They're made for big people because it's a big car. Just to go over this car really quickly, obviously you've paid to have the interior built twice in this car in a way. Built in America as left-hand drive, comes over to Australia, then is rebuilt as a right-hand drive by Walkinshaw right here in Melbourne. And it might actually be better built the second time around. Walkinshaw have done an amazing job with the conversion to this car. There's no telling that it's been switched to right-hand drive. The quality is great. The fit and finish of the dashboards is spot on. There's literally no clue that it was once left-hand drive. So great work, Walkinshaw, in that regard. In terms of the overall interior quality and ambience and stuff like that, yeah, it's nice enough. You've got these 10-way adjustable power electric seats that are covered in leather. There's plenty of leather through here as well, but there is a lot of hard, scratchy plastics all through the interior. And I think, you know, look, for 115 grand, you might also have a BMW or an Audi or a Mercedes or something like that, and you will feel like you're getting in a bit of a farm truck getting in this, but it's nice enough. Yeah, it's not the lap of luxury, but it's nice enough. We've got 4 cup holders. We have a center console that's literally the size of an esky. It's absolutely massive. We've got USB-C, USB auxiliary SD card holder, another USB-C here, another USB, and there's just so many features on this car, of course, being that LTZ, the second highest level of trim in America, heaps of standard equipment in this car. We've got 2 settings for the heated seats. You can have the seat pad and the backrest heated, or just the backrest. The seats are cooled as well. We have the dual zone climate control, you know, pretty standard fare. One of the updates for the 2021 Silverado is wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. We've got the wireless phone charging down here as well. There's just so many features. We have the active lane keeping assist, parking. The parking cameras on this car are incredible. We'll talk about those in a moment. Start, stop. You can put the electric tailgate up and down just by pressing this button, ESC, and then we've got hill descent control here as well. Of course, so many people are going to buy this car for towing, and the towing features and functionality of this car is incredible. We've got the remote electric trailer braking control here. We'll talk through some of the towing features shortly. And just to come over to this side, this car has the 10-speed automatic gearbox and the 2-speed transfer case. So we've got automatic 4-wheel drive, which basically just brings in the front axle as needed, but you've also got 4-wheel drive high, 4-wheel drive low, 2-wheel drive high. We have a normal mode, sport mode, if you want to get stuck in on a twisty road, again, something that we'll get to shortly. We've got a jellyfish launcher over here. I'm just kidding, that's actually just the light for the tray. Steering wheel heater. We've got a 7-speaker Bose stereo, which is really, really good. No complaints there from me. You probably couldn't have it at the Melbourne Symphony Orchestra or anything like that, but hey, look, it's fine. It does the job, and it's really, really good. But yeah, great interior. And the side mirrors as well. Walkinshaw does offer the extendable side mirrors for towing, but these are huge. Yes, you can see just about anything in these side mirrors. And we also have a sunroof. It's optional in America, standard in Australia. And probably the last thing to talk about in the interior, just really briefly, this video rear vision mirror. So it's fully adjustable. You can kind of zoom in and out on it. It's perfect at night. It's great if you have a trailer on. It's taken me a little while to get used to, if I'm honest, just because the perspectives are kind of weird compared to a normal mirror. But if you do want to switch to a normal mirror, you just hit that there, boom, done, you have a normal mirror. It's also got a 15-inch head-up display with adjustability for information, brightness, and all that kind of stuff, which is just excellent. Like in terms of heads-up display, it's one of the better systems I've used. It's great. But speaking of cameras and vision and what have you, the parking cameras on this car are absolutely incredible. And actually, if it didn't have any cameras at all, it'd be a very different car to own and drive. It's game-changing. We've counted no fewer than 15 cameras on this car, or 15 camera views at least. There's the top-down bird's eye view, which is great for parking. You've got your classic reversing camera. You have a camera at the front, so you can see when you're nudging up to a car ahead. There's cameras on the front wheels. You can see how close you're getting to the curb. There's cameras on the rear wheels for exactly the same thing. There's a tow hitch camera. No more trying to roughly line up the tow ball with the trailer hitch. You can line it up perfectly. It's incredible. There's also a rear blind spot camera for when you change lanes. And one of the new things for the 2021 model is there's a trailer length indicator. So when you hit that indicator and the blind spot camera comes up, it'll show you exactly the back. It'll give you a little warning indicator for where the back of the trailer is. Incredible for lane changing. There's a tray camera, so you can see what's in the tray. Also good for hooking up a gooseneck. And there's even a provision for a camera inside a trailer. So if you have a horse float, you can put a camera inside the horse float, hook it up to the car, and you can keep an eye on your Melbourne Cup winners or whatever have you, your ponies, making sure they're having a lovely time as you tow them along in your Silverado. In the special trailering section, we have a status for your trailer connection, trailer maintenance. Here you can access the cameras to do with your trailer, and also other various things to do with the vehicle and trailering. We've got checklists here. You're attaching your gooseneck. You can go through, make sure you've got everything done correctly for the more forgetful amongst us. We have trailer profiles as well if you're towing different types of trailers. And for the 2021 update, Chevrolet introduced trailer sway control, trailer hill start assist, electronic things to do with the ESC. Silverado also comes with trailer theft alert. Just again, from a security perspective, it'll give you an alert if someone's messing about with the trailer. Again, more peace of mind stuff. Overall, really nice, great place to sit. The back seat in this thing is absolutely enormous. Like, that's where you get the 1/2 meter of extra wheelbase and length compared to, say, like a dual cab Ford Ranger is all here. 1.1 meters of leg room in this. Like, it's huge. This is like the long wheelbase Holden Statesman kind of stuff going on. And yeah, the back seat's cool in this. You've got these little hidey holes here for when your kids have been naughty. You can kind of stuff them in there. You've got the center armrest with 2 cup holders. There's rear seat heaters back here. Just heaps of room. These grab handles, easy to get in and out of for the height of the vehicle. I mean, look at this. I'm 174 centimeters. I might look like a jockey in this video because this car's so big, but yeah, there's just so much knee room. I don't think I've sat in like a Mercedes S-Class, like a long wheelbase one with this much knee room. You could use this as a limousine. Overall, just, yeah, there's just so much space here. It's a 5-seater and there's more than enough space for 5 adults. So even though you've got your 2 cup holders in the middle here, you've also got access to these ones nice and easily. We've got a USB-C outlet and a USB. There's only 2, so not amazing. You do have a 12-volt outlet, however. Yeah, leather upholstered rear seats. They're comfortable enough. The bench is pretty flat. The backrest is quite flat. But hey, look, it's still more comfortable than a lot of dual cab ute rear seats that I've sat in. And yeah, you can lift this up. There's even more space in here again. Like, this will just come in handy whenever you need to throw stuff in here. Yeah, incredibly versatile rear seat. And one of the cool things about this big American truck compared to, say, like a dual cab ute in Australia is this tiny little rear window here. It's electrically operated, so technically there's 5 windows that you can put up and down. It's just controlled by a little switch up there where the sunroof controls are. And I mean, you could have the sunroof open and have this little window open and have the air kind of coming through. You could sit in the back and have this window open and shout at the people who are in the tray who are misbehaving, your kids again, potentially. But then you could go to Bunnings and buy some wood that's really long, open up this little rear window, have the wood coming through here. It just gives you options. It's just like such a handy little thing. So your first impressions when you get in the Silverado is, and not to labour the point, it's an obvious one, it's big, like it feels big. You wouldn't probably buy this car if you lived in the inner city. That's where I live. It just feels so enormous. It makes the standard Australian lane size feel like a bike path. But otherwise, it's fine. It's actually a lovely car to drive. I'm surprised at how nice it is. The transmission and powertrain are very smooth. It's got heaps of grunt. It's pretty effortless. There's one thing about this car that surprises you is the way it accrues speed. I often look down and be like, oh, okay, I'm doing over the speed limit. It just puts on speed really easily, and I suppose that says a lot about its power and torque. It's a very comfortable car to drive. The ride quality, I don't think I could ask any better of the ride quality. There is a little bit of a ladder chassis kind of wobble, which I think has got to do with just having nothing in the tray. I'm sure if you put a couple 100 kilos in the tray, it would ride a little bit better. But otherwise, the ride is lovely. It's got kind of this nice softness to it without being wallowy. It's a really comfortable car, and I could easily see myself owning this car in the countryside and driving around in it feeling very calm and relaxed. The other thing I'd say about this car, it's actually quite fast. For something of its size, which is obviously owing to that V8 up the front, yeah, it's really quick. Quicker than any other dual cab ute. We've independently tested this car on a drag strip before, and we got 0 to 100 in 6.4 seconds and a 14.5 second quarter mile. So it's pretty quick for what it is. It's surprisingly quick, and it sounds good. I've forgotten what an induction noise sounds like for a V8. So many modern V8s turbocharged these days, and it's all exhaust noise or fake induction noise. This has a real V8 induction snarl that shares its DNA with an SS Commodore, I have to say again, and it sounds really good. You can't really hear the exhaust, but you can hear that induction note, and you kind of want more of it. It encourages you to put your foot down. It's not super loud. I think if I bought this, I'd definitely be looking at the Walkinshaw optional exhaust just to kind of unleash more of that naturally aspirated big bore V8 noise. The thing about this car is there is a bit of a depth of engineering to the chassis and the engine that surprises. It's way better dynamically than it has any right to be. For something on a ladder chassis that has a live axle and leaf rear springs, it's actually quite fun to drive, and I think it's got a lot to do with the weight. So this car is 2,540 kilos, and it actually feels a little bit light for something its size. It feels like it should weigh 3 tons, and that's credit to GM. They managed to strip out hundreds of kilos from this particular generation Silverado, using more high-strength steel, using aluminium in the doors and in the bonnet and in the tailgate. They managed to get that weight right down for a vehicle this size, and it shows. There's a bit of eagerness to the chassis and the handling that's really nice and that you want to kind of get stuck into. It's fun. Paired with that naturally aspirated V8 and the slick 10-speed auto with lovely evenly spaced ratios, it's really fun to drive fast. I never thought I'd say that about something this big. But yeah, even right now I'm coming up to a pretty tight roundabout, and you're just thinking to yourself, okay, what are the dimensions of the car? How do I avoid hitting any of those curbs? Not that it matters if you hit the curb with the big off-road high-profile tyres, but yeah, it's no Ford Ranger. It feels a lot larger than even a Ford Ranger, or a Hilux for that matter. Of course, it's thirsty. It weighs 2.5 tons. It's got a 6.2 litre V8. It's going to drink a lot. So it will sting filling this car up at the Bowser. It's got a 91 litre fuel tank, which means it's got pretty impressive range when you first fill it up to 800 or 900 kilometres. But at current petrol prices, putting a tank of 98 in this is going to cost you close to $200, and that's going to hurt. So it is thirsty. There's a lot of General Motors DNA in this car as well. So again, if you were coming out of an SS Commodore, it kind of feels familiar. It feels homely in a nice way. I think that will appeal to a lot of people in Australia. I have to say, if it had anything but this engine, I'm not sure how appealing it would be. If it had like a diesel 4-cylinder or something like that, I think I'd be a lot less interested in it. That V8, at least for me, subjectively, adds a lot to this car's appeal. Adds massively to this car's appeal. Now, the thing about the Silverado in Australia is so many people will buy one just for towing, and that's fair enough. It's got the 4.5 tonne brake towing capacity. Put your horse float on it, put your big boat on it, no problems, it'll tow it without any issues whatsoever. But the Silverado makes a case for itself as just a vehicle, as just a car. It's got that 6.2 litre naturally aspirated V8, which just has a way of getting under your skin, kind of reminds you of those old SS Commodore vibes. And no, it's fair enough, the DNA is there, it's the same DNA. And I think for me, that's the thing. In Australia, we've dreamt about having like a Ford Ranger Raptor with the Mustang's V8. but you're kind of looking at it. Here it is. Yeah, it's a lot bigger, but it's still fast. 0 to 106.5 seconds. And for us in Australia, we're so used to V8 utes. Here it is. It's kind of here. It's a dual cab. Sign me up.